We're going to do, this class is all about light language, soul messages, the different spaces of this understanding all hold a little bit of a different perception of it, but I believe there's a way to weave them all together and allow ourselves to have that wholeness. Light language itself is more of a term that was given to it by what one would call like a spiritual community, separate from religious community, the perceptional view that there are various ways in which light language can be used, can be connected with, and each one brings its own benefits. Okay. So there's another term I'm going to say a lot in this particular connection about this topic of light language, and that's going to be soul messages. And there is also the spiritual, religious space that I believe this is still in the same ballpark, the same connection is speaking in tongues. It's called in many religious teachings in you can find that in the Bible and other cultural religions as well, that will have the messages of their source, their God in that particular religion, speaking through the individuals, the believers. So let us just allow ourselves to kind of have all of those types of perceptions, ideas, and beliefs in our consciousness, right? In our brain, in our mind, in our knowing as we go through this information. So my perceptions may be something that click for you, and then you may tweak them a bit to make them, something that is full alignment with your understanding and what you're experiencing. So keep that in mind. I think that is a very healthy way to live our lives in everything that we are contemplating and going into a space of connecting with, to see if whether we want to open ourselves up to that concept of being a truth for us or not. Always, my father taught me this when I was very little, to never take anyone's word for it being, the end, like that's it, that's how it has to be. He said, always go to God, you and God, and then you'll know your truth. And so I listen to many, but I then take it all in and I go to one. And that's where I make my final call. And I can adjust my final call at any time. So remember that too. We adjust our perceptional viewpoints and our understandings as we expand, because as we expand, they expand. Some perceptions totally flip, right? We talked about that earlier as well. And some perceptions we can expand and tweak and adjust, but keep that in mind as well. So in general, what I really want to make sure we touch on first and foremost is a basis of light language as an understanding that this is a communication that your human being is able to. You are sovereign. You do not have to do anything, but you are able to choose to align with, be open to, and connect to messages of light language. And in my humble opinion, light language would be more of connecting to beings of light that are working with you for your betterment, for your highest good, giving guidance and understanding, knowing. These beings can be a direct connection to you via a star family. They can be connected to a version of you, like we understand that we have this now version in our consciousness in this physical space, in this physical life. But we also know that we have been other versions, possible human versions. We've been possible other versions from other planets. Yes. Many of us, I believe, are eons old, honestly. And we have been many other places and experienced many other things. And then it can also be connected with future versions as well. And that's where we get into the quantum concept of all is now, and that time is a linear concept for humans. But so it gets really fun when you go there. But so light language first came through in my personal journey. I believe my first experience with languages of light, soul, spirit was in the early 1990s. Um, I was in my early 20s and I left a Pentecostal church service, and it was a really beautiful service. And I was driving home alone, and all of a sudden, I just was just bawling, crying, and I wasn't sad. I was just crying. I kept crying. I'm driving. I probably should have pulled over, but I lived in a very small town at the time. So I made my way home. It was only a couple of miles, but I sat in that car and I cried and cried and cried. And I just felt like something was just clearing. A massive clearing was happening, like a lot of emotions, but they were leaving. They weren't even asking me to look at them or acknowledge them. They were just pouring out of me. And then this language started coming. And it was so powerful. It really blew me away. And I say I allowed it, but I almost feel like, I guess my higher self was like, get out of the way, go cry. We're coming out with this message, because it just poured out of me, this message. And it sounded Hebrew to me, if I had to guess, but I even tried to research the words later and I couldn't find anything. So I think it was just really ancient. I believe, in a sense, a deep connection to the celestial realms, languages from there. So that happened to me, and I was experiencing a lot of growth, inner growth at the time. And I believe, and again, this is connected with what is something key to know about light language. I believe that when that happened for me, not only did I have that clearing and expansion moment spiritually and physically and energetically, but I also, so then it expanded me to be able to all of a sudden shift into a space where I was able to understand a bit more, right? Wrap my head around things a bit deeper. And in that space, I was doing this. I was teaching. I've been teaching for a very, very, very long time. And I was teaching in my home, and I'd have about 30 people come every week, and they'd sit all over my living room and I would teach. And everything I was teaching expanded immensely after that experience. And I feel like it was a huge vibrational shift. So keep that in mind when you fathom, contemplate, allow yourself to give some focus to light language in your life, whether it's already happened for you and you're thinking of allowing it to expand more because you're sovereign, so you choose, or whether it's never happened to you, but you're curious and you're thinking, what is this, right? It definitely is, in my opinion, a space. When it starts to happen, it's a space of expansion. And I think the multidimensional selves, the higher selves, the other selves of us are assisting. And because we're open, they know we're open. Nothing's forced on us. This is a sovereign connective experience. Because they know that we're open and it's for our highest good and we're ready in that moment, then I believe that is there. We're helping ourselves in a sense. And I know God is connected into it. I know that. I know it is sovereign and sacred. Do I think that it cannot be hijacked at all? Because I've had people say, well, how do you know? Could you have something that isn't of the highest good speak through? I wouldn't say that's impossible because I don't put lids on boxes, but I also believe intention is everything and you are sovereign. So if your intention is that you are sovereign and you connect with holy light and you work only with holy light, then that is what you are aligning yourself with. Yes. Now, if there are fear programs, and that's very common, I lived with them for years that I worked through. If there are fear programs in your mind that may have been given to you through religious teachings or family culture or, great great grandmother, don't be doing that. You know what'll happen if you let your mind be open to those things. Um, I mean, these big programs get planted in small ways and grow, right? And so they hold an energy signature. If you know they're there or they show up for you as you're taking this journey and being open to light language and soul messages, then just allow healing for those spaces. Yes, just allow yourself to be present enough to acknowledge with observation and wholeness that they exist, and do they align you to where you want to be? And if you know that they are a fear-based, denser energy that is not aligning you and where you want to be, then you can also pull out one of my favorite sayings that I mentioned earlier, and that is a timeline I no longer align with. That is a timeline I no longer align with. And at that point, you are reminding yourself of your energetic conscious choice, your energetic alignment to the space that you do want to be continuing to expand in. Okay. So that happened to me in the 90s. I would have called it speaking in tongues because of the experience that I was in at the time. And then continue on, many, many years. And I had an experience again that this phrase kept coming through to me. And I was going through a new shift in my life where I was changing a lot of my perceptions, updating a lot of my beliefs to match my understanding consciously. See, that's what's happening as you go through life experiences. You're expanding, right? You're learning, you're growing, you're perceiving things with a deeper understanding. And so when that's happening, those old perceptions and programs, they no longer align and fit perfectly. So they show up to say, hey, are we still being utilized? Or is something going on? Are you changing something on us? And so then you can make those choices accordingly. But I had made some expansion, and in that space, I experienced this phrase that just kept coming through. And again, it had the same type of sound, like an ancient Hebrew type-ish language, for lack of a better word. And that phrase stuck with me forever. I mean, I still remember it even now, and I will say it. I'll share it with you. I say it sometimes in my work, but es la nashina la radaya rasun torotorobaya. There you go. That just came out, and it kept coming and coming and coming for years. And it was the only thing I had that I would have said was a form of light language and or speaking in tongues. And, now the direct definition of speaking in tongues with the Christian faith is that the Spirit of God is speaking through you. So keep that in mind. I don't want to take anything from any religious teachings and morph it into something else. That's their teaching on it. And I believe that that makes sense. I believe that our higher selves, our wholeness, right, our full being is an alignment of our being expanding vibrationally all the way through up into the Holy Spirit and up into prime creator, God, source. You can put different names on it, but there's still, in my opinion, that one space in which all comes from, the nothingness of everything, right? Okay, so in that experience, that was the first time that I was not deep inside of religion when it happened to me. So now you have me on a journey and you've witnessed it. I have been deep inside of Christian faith, having the experience with speaking in tongues or a form of soul messages, light language. Then I'm not in that same space consciously. I have shifted my life to a space of more expansiveness, understanding of God, and I have another experience. Okay. So then we follow me down the road a little bit further. And I share this in case it connects with some things you may have experienced and or are. I go down the path many years later, and this was in 2019 or 18. 19 maybe. And I am sitting in my sister's home looking at this beautiful crystal that she had. And I'm sitting alone in the dining room. My kids are in the house visiting with my sister. And I get huge emotion rush over me again, just like when in the 90s when I was in the car, like massive wave where I was about to I was about to sob and cry so bad, but I knew my kids were in the other room and I didn't want to scare them or freak them out. So I tried to kind of, you know, gauge it a bit. But it just was a lot and it needed to move. And so it came forward and more came out. And this was like somebody opened up a whole new space in me. I opened up a whole new space in me, yes. And it just flooded through. So it hasn't stopped since then. And my connection to my multidimensional selves, that's when this began. I also had an incredible out of body experience with this. I heard the incredibly powerful masculine voice that gave me answers to every question I've ever had, but gave them to me so fast that I was like, I wanted to be like, can you hold on a second so I can make note of this? But I'm like in an out of body experience. It was like, that's not an option. And at the same time, I was hearing like 1,000 voices talking. It was the most incredible space to be in. I know that it was complete quantum and there were various, I believe, realms or spaces of people or even beings, we'll say, because that'd be more accurate. But so that occurred in 2019, and that really opened up even more for me. So that's an understanding of my journey with languages of light, soul messages, speaking in tongues, having them come through you. Now, here's a couple key points. Those times I did not consciously choose what my mouth said. But at the same time, I didn't feel controlled by anybody else. I had a sense that it was either God and or a version of me coming through with something that needed to be said out of my being. And I believe it has to do with the vibration of the words that were said. And I believe that even them coming through the being, you, me, whoever's experiencing it, that energy is moving through as the words are moving through. And I even think this is kind of powerful in the sense that there's a verse in the Bible that says, and the word became flesh and the word dwelt among us. Okay. And there's so much power in the words that we speak. And we all have the understanding of manifestation and the concept of energy and what you speak and, you know, you're putting it out there. But I think it's even a deeper or broader understanding that we're beginning to fathom. Experiencing those experiences where it was like now, when I chose to say that phrase to you, I consciously chose to say it. It wasn't uncontrollable. I wasn't in an emotional state. Yes, I was just able to share. I know it's in there. I know how to say it. It's a part of me. And when I do my messages that you will see on Instagram or on YouTube or TikTok, where I do stuff for blessings and I also do stuff in the sun, I am consciously aware of what I'm saying. I am directing it. It is a part of me consciously choosing when it is released. For me, I make a note of soul messages, soul languages when that is happening. Being that I feel as if you get to a space consciously, expansively, where you do understand your multidimensionalness more. You do understand integration of your multidimensional selves more, your sovereignty, that's a big one, more, and trusting yourself more. And as those things anchor in your now, that I believe opens you up to speak from your soul messages. All right, so those can be energetically potent with immense power to bring understanding, healing, blessings, freedom, light to those who hear them. And it's interesting because I do this a lot on social media out pages, platforms that I have. And I get a lot of feedback, especially on TikTok. I've only been on there for a few weeks, but these people are from all over the planet. And thank God TikTok has a thing where you hold down the comment and it can translate. I get Greek people, people from Greece, Russian. I had a woman from Russia the other day. They're just everywhere. They're all over the planet, and they're writing and they're saying what they're feeling when they're hearing my soul message, my blessing. I do a blessing and it's in my soul language, one of my soul languages. That I really feel it's what they need. Their soul is hearing me, my soul. We are communicating on a whole nother level. We are communicating on a soul level. This is the new human. This is the space of our beings vibrating in a space where we are shedding the densities and the attachments of these spaces that are more judgmental and more factual and analytical, and it can only work if it's like this, and that's impossible. And we are going into a space where we're actually able to open up and connect on this incredibly beautiful level. And I believe it's the soul. It's the soul to the soul. It's from the heart to the heart. And I don't judge it. I don't get in my head about it. I don't ask myself what I'm going to say before I say it. I just know when I open my mouth, I trust myself 100% in this space that I'm in now. And I just speak. And the rest unfolds. It's incredibly beautiful and powerful. Now that's for me, messages of the soul. So that's my understanding of light language in the expansion of the being with the connectiveness to that which is, I think, on a space of vibration that understands what we need and is helping us, whether it's a version of us or God or a team of light or a star family, helping us, shifting energy, expanding energy, anchoring in more energy, clearing stuff. And then soul messages, we've begun integrating and connecting and aligning with our wholeness and trusting our connection to God and ourselves, and then allowing, yes. And that's where I feel like that's my heart on what I would title these things and where they're coming from. I believe both of these types of things are massive emotional release spaces. So if you experience listening to light language or a soul message and you cry, you're releasing what needs to be released. You're releasing what you're ready to release. And in some cases, you're feeling a sense of love and home that you've never felt before. And that can make somebody cry because it just feels so good. And it doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you that you're crying. It doesn't mean that you're sad that you're crying. Humans have emotions. And so many times crying and tears can be a sign of just feeling immense love. So if that happens, just allow, go back to one of my favorite words, just allow and love yourself, be compassionate with yourself, and be open to what's happening. Huge emotional release can happen with light language. Energy moves and soul messages. Light language, soul messages, they move energy. They shift the vibration around you. There is not a night that goes by now that I am not toning or singing light language in the shower. I love it. I have a small shower. It's like a little cube box thing or whatever. Like, it's not super big, but it's all tile. So the acoustics or whatever are really great for me. And so I just will I'm just in there singing and toning, and I can feel the vibration of the sounds, and I know it's doing everything I need it to do. And I don't even second guess it or like think, was that enough? I just do it as I enjoy it, coming from my bliss, my heart, my joy, and allowing. And it not only is it doing me and my being, it's doing my atmosphere, my environment, right? My home. And it's really powerful, and every one of us has it. I think what we're doing is we're coming into a space consciously where we're being able to begin to understand the power of frequencies, the power of sound, the power of vibration. There is more here than we understand right now, but we're entering into this space, and we have this beautiful ability, even in our words. Our words hold tone, yes, and they hold a vibration. And our singing and our toning, it's all connected. It all holds power. So it moves energy, it clears energy. In my opinion, it's a higher vibrational space. When you start going into that space, it's just a different. And when I say higher vibrational, remember, it's the speed. It's not, it's the speed. So it's less dense, it's less slow. And that, I believe, is what opens the door for the souls to hear. So like, I'm on TikTok, they don't know English. Well, many don't that I speak with. And so I do a lot of gestures in what I put in my, it's 59 seconds. You got to really move. I tell people to give them an idea of the difference between Instagram and TikTok. Instagram is like getting on a walking machine at 1.0 miles per hour or whatever. And TikTok's like getting on a walking machine at 6.7. You better be ready to run. So it's a whole different game. So anyways, I have 59 seconds to get in my message. And when I enter into that space, I know that not everyone understands English, but oh, the power of soul messages. Yes, everybody gets them. I love it. I love it. So I will use my hands and gesture, like listen to your heart. I do that a lot. And shh, the mind. And it really works. People they get that, right? And then I go in and I do my soul message, and it's just incredibly powerful. This one woman wrote me, she has an autistic son. He was having issues with, like, hurting himself in some ways because of not being able to be calmer or still or whatever. And she plays my things for him and he calms. So he's hearing, his soul is hearing this. His soul is hearing this. This is God speaking through, in a sense. Yes. And there's more like that. They blow my mind. I'm honored and grateful to do what I do. I don't want to stop. I love every minute of it. And it's all because I dropped fear programs and I stepped into a place where I said, I'll embrace me, whatever me is. And I'm still finding out me, but I really like what I found so far. And so keep that in mind as you embrace these spaces that may sound different or feel different. They may be a really good different, right? They may be a really good different. Keeping the understanding that you're sovereign and that you hold the ability to choose what you do and you intend, who you connect with, and what is being put forth from your being, right? So no one's hijacking you. That is your call. You are sovereign. And your being, connectiveness to your soul, holds messages that my being and my soul don't hold. So keep that in mind as well. That is a beautiful, unique thing that you bring to this now, right? There are, I don't know, what is it, billions of people on the planet? Somebody knows the exact number, they'll write me and tell me, but I don't need to know. I'm just saying, we need everybody's soul that's ready to speak their messages. Yes. because every unique soul brings something special that some soul will hear and it will bless them, you know? So keeping that in mind as well as you're navigating this space. I believe this also assists with ascension. How could it not? Right? Ascension, the understanding that we are consciously expanding, we are energetically, vibrationally expanding. We're not leaving this space and going to another space. We are inhabiting our now at a higher vibration. That is my humble understanding of ascension. We are inhabiting our now at a higher vibrational rate. So, as you are doing this expansion of your consciousness and loving your being and getting to know you and anchoring that in and drawing in more of your wholeness, yourselves to this now, and these spaces of you open, and God speaks through in languages of light or speaking in tongues, whatever words you're putting on this is assisting your being in your journey, your path. It is opening up spaces of you, and light is flooding in. And that is your light. That is more of God in your life, more of the God self of you. We are all pieces of God, and we are having our individual experiences in these nows. And as we expand and open ourselves up more and more to that light, yes, our light, we are raising that vibration of our signature, our life, our alignment in this existence. And as we transition, and we know we do, we move forward, if you want to use a directional term, but it's a little odd in the quantum, but we move forward in our vibrational expansion. Thank you guys for being here. Truly. If you have any questions or feedback, any comments, please feel free to write me, reach out. I'm always here. I thank you. I thank you, beautiful one. Thank you so much. Blessings. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. I love you.